development. Library Board and Library Capital Campaign Group will also be in attendance to discuss the progress and scope of the library building project. Welcome.
Thank you.
Could you give us the ARRA stands for?
American Recovery and Reinvestment Act.
Thank you.
Ready?
Good.
All right. This is Lori, obviously. I guess we just wanted to meet with the council. We kind of met with the library board a little bit too and talked about the project. The project was funded, I think, back in '09. Had some timelines to that project with the letter of conditions. Typically it's 180 days to move the project forward with requests for extensions of time, which we typically grant for a project. So the last extension came up here at the end of May, at which time we had this meeting scheduled in June, so we just kind of waited until this meeting today to kind of talk about the project and kind of get some guidance from the city on what the plans are and try to get a commitment to some type of timing. The ARRA funds that we're talking about that were funded was about a $2.2 million loan for a library / city hall at the time and a $250,000 grant. My understanding is last year the city hall portion of the project was dropped and we're now just dealing with a library project, which is fine. Both projects still meet our requirements. It maybe gives us a little bit of flexibility to get the project completed. But I think we're okay with that. We'll have to do some adjusting and some paperwork, but I don't see a problem with that either. So we can continue to move forward with the library. The funding on the ARRA has a drop dead use date of the end of September 2015. That is when every last dollar has to be spent or Congress will take the money away from us for your project. We don't hopefully foresee that being an issue here. We're hoping to have some type of commitment to move forward where the funds are spent well in advance of that time frame. I think we're having a little bit more pressure. The purpose of the ARRA funds was to stimulate jobs, all that stuff. You all know the stories and all the conversation that has gone. We're getting some pressures to move forward with the project. This is potentially, or it's looking like it'd be the last project that the Minnesota RD is funded that will go to construction. That's kind of where we're at right now. Basically all our other projects are at or going to bid or in construction. So we do want to keep a good eye on the project and keep it moving forward. That's kind of our thoughts with that. Had some conversation on just what the plan was. I think we want to try to, as a goal right now, to try to get to construction on the library project in the year 2012. If the finish construction into 2013, that's fine. So that would give us a timeline in our head right now to have plans and specs completed about this time next year, be able to go to bid. Bidding process and award and pre-cons take a good 30 to 60 days typically. So if we had that type of time frame, we'd be breaking ground by the end of August next year. Would be a good goal time frame. We can always move it forward. That's fine. The sooner the better is great. But anytime past this time, if you're not ready to go to bid, almost pushes you into late fall or winter construction start, which typically isn't the greatest time to go into that too. We've got a few things on the application processing. Don't necessarily need action tonight. Maybe a discussion topic. I think the next step for the council to make is a loan resolution commitment to us. It's on our form. It's our standard form. Like I said, I don't even know if we have that form tonight, but something that we can present to you guys for July's meetings. If you want to pass that at that time to kind of keep moving forward on that commitment side. That'll help us get to a point where we can start doing some of our legal work just to get it prepared to keep the project moving forward when we get to those final plans and specs. There is some commitment on cash on hand. The letter of conditions Basically, our funding's separated. It's spent applicant contribution first, RD loan second, with our grant last spent on the project. I guess that's kind of an update of where we're kind of at. I guess the next process is maybe answer questions or get an update from the council on what they're thinking, timing, all that stuff that I just presented. Is there some issues that you see? Is there some comments contradict you what your thoughts are on those? Like I said, I wasn't involved in the actual loan making process of it, the details, but I knew of the project. Kind of been keeping tabs on it now, as kind of helping out in the southeast area. So.
Any questions?
What's the loan amount from the USDA?
A little over 2.2 million. I think it's 2,234,000. I think.
Yes.
That's over 40, up to a 40-year term and 4 1/8% interest rate fixed.
8%?
4 1/8.
4 and
4.125. With some changes, I know, with the city hall portion, part of that was for loan. I don't know what the breakdown of the, maybe the architect has a good description of how much was library, how much was city hall before. We might be able to be flexible on that loan amount because of the city hall being dropped, or, we can do less than that a little bit if need be on the project. Until we get to the point where we actually know what the project cost scope is specifically, maybe even bid, where we can be more, kind of work with that loan amount for the city. We're willing to work with the city on the best solution we can to try to make this library project a reality. I don't know if I mentioned before, I might have maybe mentioned it previous before, the ARA funds. If the ARA funds are not used or returned at any time right now, funds can't be used ever again. They're restricted right to Rushford. Our regular funds, if you didn't use them, we could put them back in the national office, and somebody from Minnesota, Iowa, Texas, California could use them on a different project. These are non-recoverable funds.
All right. Susan, has the library board appointed members of the subcommittee?
Yeah, we're good to go. I didn't know if you had pointed anybody yet.
Later on in the council meeting, we have to appoint some subcommittee to meet with the library board, talk about the scale of the project. Okay. So we will be ready with that, and hopefully we'll be able to come up with some answers for you sometime in July or August. If that's acceptable.
I prefer July, just to keep things moving so we can get our paperwork up to speed on that part.
Then we'll keep things moving.
Is there any kind of prepayment penalty on the loan? Because there is a vigorous fundraising effort going on.
The fundraising, I understand, is in full swing. That's great. There is no penalty for early prepayment. Just some thoughts, and you've probably heard this before, but I'm going to say it again. Just from some other projects, had similar issues on other projects, specifically even another city with a library project, not as big as yours, smaller town, a little bit smaller project, had some of the same issues. As we commit to move forward, commit to the $2 million, like I said, we can work with that a little bit on the loan part of it. Construction starting sooner than later helps fix your cost. Fundraising can be paid, pay that down every year, pay that off sooner on that part. There's some options to work with on that helps keep projects moving forward. Commits people to fundraising. Sometimes fundraising helps to have the hole in the ground of the building being built, to have people commit to a project. I've seen that before on some of the projects that I've worked with in the past also. Specifically on the one library project we did, there was they raised an extra $50,000 once they bid the project out and awarded it. So somebody was just waiting for it to be reality, I guess, because once you bid it out and award it, then the city's committed to doing that project. So